Well, welcome back to another fishing adventure, and today's going to be an adventure for sure. Let me show you something. See that? I'm traveling south, and I'm traveling pretty far south. I'm traveling south in search of warmer water. The ice has melted off most of the lakes around here, but the water temp is still in the 30s, so I'm heading south. It's a long drive, and I'll explain more when I get there. Thanks for watching. Alright, I made it, folks, and first things first, got to get baited up, get baits in the water. Then I'll do some more explaining about what I'm doing here today, what the tactic is and stuff like that. Let's get to the baits. The hook baits are going to be banana tiger nuts. These are leftover from last year. I made them last fall and didn't even use any of them. I didn't fish the whole month of October last year for other reasons. Didn't have time, so I've got all these. They're perfectly good. They've been stored in the fridge all winter. Banana tiger nuts. And then same deal with these. These are just as old. Used a little bit of these. This is a sriracha, boiled feed corn, maize. Almost forgot to put bait stoppers on. This is what happens at the beginning of the year. Haven't fished for a few months and kind of forgotten about some of the routines. Pack bait. Yeah, I was getting ready to cast it out without putting any pack bait on. Just kind of rusty, you know. Plus, I guess I'm a little bit excited just because I have been fishing once or twice this year, but this is the first fishing trip where I actually have any reasonable expectation of actually catching a fish. So the previous times so far this year were just, you know, just to get outside, basically, do a little fishing. So I'm hoping to catch a fish today. This pack bait is the same pack bait that I made on my first video of the year, skunk video, fishing for grass carp. Didn't catch anything. This is a bait that I made that day. That was about 2 weeks ago. It's been in the fridge. And it's just oats and sweet feed pellets and canned corn and cream corn. So this is what I'm doing on all three of my lines. I decided to go with the spicy feed corn on all three of them. There's the rig, 99% rig going out. And my focus today is going to be this shoreline out here. I'm in a corner of the lake here. And that shoreline, I'm going to put 2 baits along that shoreline there, and another one kind of just to the left of that. And as I said, I'll explain more of the reasoning why here in a little bit. Yeah, it's not very deep there. 3-4 feet maybe. This one's going to go in the same spot, just a little farther down. I don't want to get too close to that shoreline because it looks like there's a bunch of tree branches in there in the water right next to the bank. This third one, I think I changed my mind. I'm gonna put this one over to the left just a little bit, just kind of out in no man's land. Who knows? I just I think having too many off to the same side's asking for trouble. So yeah, I traveled a few hours south from my home. The lakes and the ponds and stuff around my home are ice free, but the water's still real cold. It's in the 30s. Real slow fishing. It's just almost not even worth your time to do it. And so I thought I'd take the day, head south. In my experience, down here in southern Iowa is about 2 to 3 weeks usually ahead on spring weather goes. You know, their average temps are higher. You know, their average temps over the last week or so has been, you know, between, you know, 4 and 6 degrees higher on daily highs than where I'm from. So I thought it was worth it to come down here, maybe find. I think the water is above 40 here. It's definitely in the 30s back home, but you know, maybe I should get the thermometer out and test the water here. I just washed my hands a couple times. It feels like it's above 40. But I let the wind dictate where I fished today when I got here. I've never been here before, so you know, you can only learn so much from satellite images, and especially when the satellite images are like 6 years old. You know, you never know. And there is quite a few things that are different here than what I could see on the satellite. But the wind dictated it today. The place I was going to fish based on satellite images, the wind has just, that's not right for the wind today. That would make a huge crosswind, and the wind's blowing about 15 to 20. But where I'm at here, I got my face in the wind. The wind is blowing against this shoreline and into this corner of the lake. There's all sorts of debris and things that the wind is blowing up against these shorelines here back behind me. There's all sorts of dead shad and fish along the shoreline here that have washed up. It seems shallower up here. I don't have a depth chart for this lake at all, but it just seems shallower up here. And through casting, I've got about 3-4 feet of water here, I think, which is good for this warm sunny day. It's in the upper 60s today, sun's shining, wind's blowing. And one other reason that was kind of a turn off for me over at the place where I was originally going to fish is there's a gigantic flock of snow geese hanging out over there, and I don't know how many thousands of birds there are over there. Crazy amount. And they're just like, they kind of come and land over in that area for a little while and then get up and fly around up above and then go land over in a little different area. And they're just kind of like moving around in that area over there on the other side of the lake, and I want nothing to do with that. I mean, if you've ever been beneath a big flock of geese, don't look up, because you'll get something right in your eye and probably get pooped on just being underneath them. Plus they're really loud and pretty annoying too. But anyway, I hope the fish are over here in this corner of the lake today. Thanks for watching. Yeah, I moved 2.5 hours at that first spot. There's no fish over there today. Oh, do you hear that? I'm closer to the geese flock. They just took off. Please don't fly over here. It'll start raining goose poop. Hopefully they don't come over here. No. Oh, they almost flew over me. I don't know if the GoPro's picking that up, but they're mostly over there. They're just barely away from me. I'm not underneath them yet. Hopefully they don't come over here. Crazy. I'm sure they're heading north. I think that place where I was at before, super shallow, that whole bay, I think. Just washing my hands, the water is noticeably colder over here. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to get closer to some deeper water. I think it's too early. It's still middle of March. It's too early for them to be going up into the shallows, I think. Yeah, that's probably 6 or 7 feet deep right here. Well, folks, the sun is going down, and looks like I'm a little early. Clearly the fish aren't moving around yet. It's only March 16th. Maybe I should have driven further south. But maybe I'll try this again next week. We'll see. On to the next one. Well, while I'm getting baited up for this fishing session, let me tell you a little story. A long time ago, in a place called the Upper Midwest, they used to have this thing called 4 seasons. And they had 4 seasons every year: spring, summer, fall, and winter. And then one day, spring decided to call a meeting with the other seasons. So he sent them all a text message, and he said, "Hey guys, we need to talk." So spring, summer, fall, and winter all got together at the local Starbucks, sat around a table with their coffees, and summer said, why are you calling us here to meet, man? I got suntanning to do. This better be good." And spring said, "Well, called you guys, got you guys together because I'm announcing my retirement." He said, I've been doing this a lot of years. I'm getting pretty old, and I think it's about time. Besides, I really only work about 2 months out of the year anyway. I really only work during April and May. And fall said, "Oh, come on, man, what about me? You're just gonna leave me as the only transition season?" And spring said, Yep, sorry buddy, you're on your own with these two." So immediately winter and summer started thinking and kind of arguing about who's gonna take over spring's duties. And after a couple hours of debating, they decided that winter was gonna take over April and summer will take over May. So from now on, winter would just go on all the way until the end of April, and then 1st of May it would abruptly turn into summer. And they decided that this was going to begin in 2022. So 2022 would be the first year in the Upper Midwest with no spring. And so it was. In April of 2022, the air was cold, the wind blew non-stop. It seems like summer tried to inch his way in a couple of times, but overall the winter prevailed throughout April, and the season of spring enjoyed his retirement. And apparently they didn't consult the fishermen or the turkey hunters when they decided to get rid of spring. So Mr. Spring, if you're watching this, I hope you're enjoying your retirement, but I hope you'll strongly encourage coming back. We miss you. Okay, so I just baited up with some old bait that's been in the fridge for a week or two. Time to make some fresh old-fashioned oats sweet feed pellets. I think I'm going to add some grits to the mix today, just for fun. Whole packet. These are butter flavored instant grits. Just to add some really small particles. For flavor, I think I'm going to add, I don't know, let's see, let's put some dry flavor in. How about some of this brown sugar bourbon seasoning? Yeah, we got to open up the other side. Need a lot. There we go. Nice big pile. I'm sure this stuff's got a lot of salt and sugar in it. And then a can of cream corn. In with the cream corn. And that's it. Cream corn. brown sugar bourbon seasoning, oats, grits, sweet feed. That's it. Let that sit for 10 minutes, be good to go. Lots of people ask why I use a bag and why don't I use a bucket. And there's several reasons, but the main one is a bucket doesn't fit in my backpack. I don't fish right by my car. I gotta walk a long ways, so yeah, bag works nice for that. And since I've got some new bait now, I'm gonna take this old bait and make some balls and chuck it out there right on top where my baits are out in the water. As you can see in this stuff, it was the exact same oats and sweet feed pellets and cream corn, but all the sweet feed pellets have broken down, so there's no pellets in there. It's all these little brown particles mixed in with the oats, and it'll stick together like that. But then those sweet feed pellets, they don't stick to anything really. So when this goes out in the water, I can pack this tight and throw this out in the water, and it'll just melt within a matter of minutes. Pretty cool. There we are, 6.5 bait balls. Well, welcome back. It's April 28th and it is 46 degrees with a wind chill of 37. And why wouldn't it be, right? It's still April. That means it's still winter, according to the new seasons, right? What's in the bucket, you might be asking? Well, why don't I show you? Inside the bucket is, ta-da, a bunch of sweet feed and a spod. Yeah, I broke down and bought a commercially made spod. Thought I'd give it a try. We'll see how long it lasts. But yeah, I'm gonna do a little spotting today with sweet feed, and because I'm gonna be here all day. It's about 11 a.m. I'm probably gonna stay here as long as I can stand it. So I'm gonna throw out some of this and then get the baits in the water after that. It's my first time using one of these things. I've always just used my own homemade version. Let's see here. I guess the this part can't have any feed in it because that's where the mechanism is, and oh, I guess if a pellet gets caught down in there, then it won't close. That's not very convenient. So I can just like drop like a tiny handful in there. I guess that's what I get to throw out. My homemade one holds about 3 times as much. I suppose this will be lighter. You can cast it farther. Also be more aerodynamic, I'm sure. Not going too far out today. Got the wind at my back, so I don't have to cast that hard. That went quite a bit farther than I hoped. It opened up right away. I can see that it's open. It sure is. Oh, now it just sunk. Stay on top of the water there, buddy. But as long as it stays on top of the water, it is a lot easier to reel in than my homemade version. It skips across the water a little easier. Oh, it didn't open. I thought for sure it opened, but look, it didn't even open. Oh, come on. Try one more cast before I mess with it. Yep. Okay, we got a deployment that time. This is going to take a long time. As much feed as I want to get out there. Throwing it out a little handful at a time. and I'm not measuring the distance or anything. I'm just casting. I'm going to cast in 3 general areas of where I'm going to have my 3 baits. I'm not trying to fish my rig just directly on top of a pile of bait or anything like that. I'm just trying to put some scent in the water and just hopefully catch, if any fish are coming through, to get them to slow down and stop and poke around here right in front of me and maybe find one of my baits. In the past, I've had people complain about these sweet feed, these know-it-all people talking about these bits of corn in here that are going to kill fish. This is going to kill a fish? Sorry, but as far as I'm concerned, unless you got some proof, that sounds like nonsense to me, man. It sounds like nonsense. I'll tell you a couple of facts about carp. They don't have a stomach, okay? So if you want to say that, oh, their stomach gets all full of corn and they die from it, well, they don't have a stomach. So there's that, okay? And, around here, they eat a lot of corn. All these water bodies around here, and pretty much everywhere in the Midwest, is surrounded by cornfields. And there's all sorts of ways that pieces of that corn, lots, and even truckloads sometimes, get spilled into creeks and lakes and rivers. And guess what? You don't see big piles of dead fish floating up. It just doesn't happen. There's a similar thing about birds. I think I've heard it before too. You're not supposed to throw rice at weddings because the birds will eat it and swell up and kill them. And that's been disproven. Also, that's just a myth. Something that somebody made up because they think it sounds like something. Yeah. And I've actually done some Googling on the topic. When somebody on my channel was claiming that I'm killing fish by throwing this out, I did about 2 or 3 hours of research, and I didn't find anything that specifically said that is harmful to fish. I did find something from an aquaculture website that was talking about best practices for farming fish, and they were talking about carp specifically, and they did recommend that if you're going to feed carp grains, that you should crush the grains first to help with nutritional absorption, but it made no mention of harm to the fish if you're feeding it whole dried grains. So if there is some kind of a scientific study that you know of that you can direct me to that even talks about anything like that, I'd love to know about it. But I got a feeling that the reason why there are no actual studies on that topic is because if you said that topic to a marine biologist, they wouldn't even bother researching, because they can just tell you off the top. They just go, no, that doesn't. Why would that hurt fish? That's silly. Why would I waste time doing an extensive study about something that's just common sense, you know? I mean, carp is the most popular sport fish in the world. So you would think that, if this were a scientific thing, if there were certain things that you could kill carp with by feeding them, there would be scientific proof, wouldn't you think? But there's all sorts of studies about the diet and habits of other popular sport fishes like trout and bass and walleyes and catfish, and you would think that with the carp being the most popular sport fish in the world, that there would be scientific evidence that's easily findable on such a topic. Today I'm going to use my super fruity boilies for hook bait. If you want the recipe for those, go back 2-3 videos or so. Just published a video where I made these recently. All sorts of colorful chunks of cereal in there. And really, the main reason why I reached for these today instead of the other things that I brought is that my hands are freezing, and these are just easier to put on their hair with frozen hands. And poof, just like that, we are magically whisked away to a different place in time. Isn't that special? We just had some live action on this rod. It just pulled some drag and now the line is slack. Fish on. Oh my goodness. And I was just totally like, I've been fighting the urge to leave for last hour or so. Probably was planning on leaving about an hour ago. This is a big fish. The weight is there. It's going to the left. He's just going off to the left. I'm not going to talk very much because I just am really excited to have this fish on the line. Oh, there he is. Oh, oh, oh. No, 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 no. It jumped out up out of the water like a bass and shook its head and shook the hook. It was a big common carp. I don't know if this camera on my chest got a glimpse of it or not. It was a big golden common carp. The agony of defeat. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident today. I'll go ahead and get the mat out. Did you ever have one of those days where you go out fishing just knowing that you're gonna catch a fish today? Today's one of those days. Did you ever have one of those days where you just know that you're gonna catch fish? And then you fish for 5 hours and you don't catch a damn thing? It's one of those days. Yeah, this is real. Okay. See him out there right on the surface. I think I've been here a little over an hour. It's cold today again, of course. It's always cold. It's the 4th of May. High of 59 today, and we got 15-mile-an-hour wind. I got a big fish on the line here. The weight is there. Feels like heavy fish. It's not really fighting right now. It's just kind of cruising. It's coming straight in. He's coming right in. It's definitely a common carp. Oh yeah. Gold fin just came out of the water right there. Just gonna be, as long as this guy's not swimming through my other lines or heading for any snags on either side of me, I'm just gonna leave the drag pretty loose here and just let him wear himself out right here in front of me. I had a fish on the line just like this the other day, and he took off and jumped out of the air and shook his head like a bass and shook the hook. That was pretty wild. I don't see that very often. This is taking a while. My heart's racing. I was sitting here feeling pretty cold. I'm not cold anymore. Oh yeah, that's a good big fish. It's a nice big fish. Come on in here, buddy. Come on. Nope, not yet. Big tail, big tail. Bye-bye. See you later. Come on. Get in the net. In the net. Holy, I caught a fish. Call the Pope. It's a miracle. This fish is quite a bit bigger than I thought it was originally. I'm thinking this fish is going to be 20 at least. This fish bit on a triple stack of feed corn on a hair rig. And he was hooked just like he's supposed to be, right in the bottom lip, right in the nice tough part of the lip, so that's good. There we go. Yeah, 20 pounds, 12 ounces with the net. Whew, first fish for 2022. I'm gonna go ahead and call this a 20-pound fish. It's pretty darn close to 20. Get a better grip on him here. Good looking fish, huge tail, really long fight. I have been fishing and fishing and fishing. This is May 4th and I'm finally catching the first fish. And I'll explain a little bit more about that. Let me put this fish back in the water, and I'll explain to you what kind of bait I'm using today and what my carp fishing has been like so far this year. He should be ready. He's only out for a minute or two. Bye-bye. Thank you. See you next time. First things first, got to get baited back up and get that line back out. So the bait that fish was caught on is some butterscotch flavored boiled feed corn. If you want to know how I make this flavored feed corn, there's a video on that on my channel, and this is just some store-bought flavoring from the grocery store, and just soaking the corn in it. And the pack bait is just a mix of oats and sweet feed pellets, and there's some boiled feed corn mixed in the pack bait also. And I think there's a can of cream corn in there too for moisture. But yeah, I got feed corn in the pack bait today also. So here's the rig. This is what I call a 99% rig because it's what I use 99% of the time. And it's basically a bolt rig. You've got a 2-ounce sinker at the top, and it's fixed in place with a bobber stop and a bead. And underneath all that pack bait is a spring feeder, and then a swivel, and a short leader, and then some corn on a hair rig. That's going out. And I just put this bait right back in the exact same spot. I threw out a bunch of sweet feed earlier when I got here. Didn't show that on video, but I threw spommed out some sweet feed in 3 different spots, kind of close to where I got my baits laying. Not sure if that had an influence in my bite or not, but I'm sure it certainly didn't hurt. And since my hands are already frozen, I might as well reel in these other ones and rebait these. So I have a bit of a confession to make. Kind of been holding out on you guys, those of you that watch my carp videos. Not really, but kind of. I've kind of had it in my head all winter long that I wanted to catch a big fish on my first fish of the year. I don't know why. There's really no rhyme or reason to it. I just want to. So I think the first time I went fishing for carp was like middle of March, as soon as the ice came off the lakes. And
the weather has been awful. I mean, just this is the coldest spring I've ever seen. It's just officially, I'm blaming the weather for me catching my first fish on May 4th. I'm blaming the weather. But I think I did play a part in that also because I wanted to catch a big fish for my first fish. I have been fishing only places that I know to hold big fish. And part of that, these places that hold big fish, is generally speaking, the fishing is usually slower than some other places that have higher populations of fish. I probably could have gone to some of the local mud hole sand pits that are just teeming with 5-pound carp and caught a bunch of fish by now. Probably. I don't know for sure. Don't get me wrong, those 5-pound fish are fun too, but I don't know, for some reason I just got it in my head that I wanted a big fish for my first fish this year. But that goal has been completed, and so now, you know, I probably will go do some fishing in some other places with higher populations of fish. So I apologize to those of you who are really aching to have a carp video right away in the spring. It's just the weather, and then me being stubborn about catching a big fish is pushed that date back to May 4th, I guess. And as you've seen for my adventures up to this point carp fishing this year, it has been quite a long road to CARPVILLE this year, but we're finally there. Well, that's all the time I have for today. More carp fishing to come. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. See you on the next one.